How we doing, everybody? This is Let's Be Real Brad, and today I'm going to be talking about one of my favorites of all time, the original Star Wars. Star Wars is a 1977 space opera film that has been later retitled Star Wars Episode 4, A New Hope, due to the prequels that were being released that were the first three in chronological order, so they retitled them from 4 to 6. Stars Mark Hamill, Harrison Ford, Carrie Fisher, Peter Cushing, and Alec Guinness. This is one of the most influential, important, and amazing films of all time. What's insane about this film is that this film what made the blockbuster as big as what it was. Jaws did that, but Jaws wasn't trying intentionally to be this big ginormous film as it was. That just kind of happened overnight because of the amazing marketing and due to being one of the best films ever made. But this film had everything amazing written all over it. Original characters, an original story, extremely fun and creative, memorable moments that are seeped through the film. This film is the third highest grossing film worldwide of all time if you adjust for inflation. A $3 billion film. That is unprecedented. The original Star Wars trilogy is one of the most important and influential trilogies of all time. So many films have tried to keep this trilogy, whether it's The Matrix, Lord of the Rings, or the Toy Story films. Well, we got Toy Story 4, but we've gotten so many different trilogies because that is the standard to do nowadays, is to have a trilogy, because that's what Star Wars has made. It's insane to see how big and massive this movie was. We think about a movie like Avengers Endgame, that many of us young people have experienced as being the big movie, or even Avengers Infinity War or Star Wars Force Awakens, that were just massive, giant movies. But when we think about the original Star Wars films, I think we were never born and we never truly realized that this film changed everything in cinema, and it changed it for the better and for the worse. What I love about this film is that it just feels so creative, so much fun, and it has this true epic feel to it. Let's start off with the acting. The acting is very good in the film. I'd say some of the highlights of the film is Alec Guinness, who is just the best on set. He was actually nominated for an Academy Award for Best Supporting Actor for this film. Harrison Ford and James Earl Jones, that voices Darth Vader, is absolutely incredible in his voice work, even though he didn't physically play Darth Vader, but his voice is one of the most iconic of all time. You have Mark Hamill, Carrie Fisher, Anthony Daniels, Peter Mayhew, a bunch of just classic names that a bunch of Star Wars fans already know because they have made the trilogy amazing as what it is. The acting always feels really real throughout the film, as some of it may not be the best we've ever seen of all time, and that's just going to be a nitpick that I have, but I think they're the perfect choices for the role, and maybe it's because I just can't picture anybody else playing the people in this film because they are so iconic and they just fit the role in such a nice and special way. We can't go on with this review without talking about the music. Oh, the music. Oh, so good. The music is just fantastic. It is some of the best music I've ever listened to in a film. There are so many classic different songs and different parts of the score that are excellent within this film, and they do add more and more throughout the trilogy that works so well with each particular film, which each film kind of getting a little more darker or changing the style of what it wants to do. This movie is just a straightforward A to Z film that has a beginning, middle, and end of basic 3-act structure that just has good versus evil. It is just the basic formula that we've seen in so many movies nowadays that we are so accustomed to, and Star Wars was the biggest originator of that. The production design is absolutely incredible. You look at so many of the scenes, everything looks so real. It never feels like they are on a set whatsoever in the film. You always feel like they're on the planet or they're on the Death Star because everything looks so immaculate. Whether on Tatooine, where you have the dust storm flying through the air, the sand all over the ground, and the little huts that are all around the place. Mos Eisley's Cantina, where all the crazy different creatures that have all bunch of makeup and costume designs on them that still look really insanely good to this day because they're just a bunch of masks and a bunch of prosthetics that are all over them, so the movie's just going to age so much better. Every time I watch this film, I'm always being wrapped in the film. We talk about the amazing opening scene when you have the rebels on the starship base being attacked by the Republic. It sets the mood and it sets the tone of what this film is going to be like. We are introduced to one of the greatest and most iconic villains of all time, Darth Vader. What I love about Darth Vader so much is that he just gets the job done. Every time throughout the film, he is just gonna do it. In a lot of films we see, the villain always has a bunch of other henchmen or other people in charge do it first before that person gets involved. But Darth Vader is like, yeah, you guys can do it, but I'm going with you because I don't think you guys can clearly get the job done, and I'm going to take this person out myself. The battle scenes are absolutely incredible when you have the amazing sound designs of the guns. You're like, pew, 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 pew. I mean, it's iconic. I mean, you can't get that out of your head of just how epic the music is. We have a bunch of crazy new concepts that are just so interesting. We have the Jedi, the Republic, the Rebellion, the Force, protocol droids. I mean, this movie really is weird to someone who has never watched it, but I think growing up as a kid watching it was just perfect for me because it has so much imagination, has so much of this silly campiness that it sometimes resides in the film, and I think that's why I enjoy it so much. It has a bunch of heart and also really dark moments throughout the film, especially in a part where Luke leaves Tatooine. It is a grueling, dark scene that, as a kid, really startled me, and rewatching it again, I was like, wow, this is a really dark scene, and I love the way that they shot this and the way they portray the film. George Lucas does a fantastic job directing the film, as every shot is extremely great. It is one of the best directed films that I have ever seen because it encapsulates every emotion that you need to feel. It has all these memorable shots in your head that when you think about the movie, you think of exactly how that film was shot because it is done so well. The special edition from 1997, and then they did a 2004, and then they did 2011, and then they did a Disney Plus version, have all ruined Star Wars. But I have the Star Wars Despecialized Edition where they took these actual original negative prints and they actually remade them with an HD version of it, and it looks tremendous. Obviously it could be updated, obviously it could look better, but this is the original film, taking all the crappy special edition stuff out that really drags down the film and it makes it not authentic. If you realize that some of the special edition changes so much of the film, just random pieces of dialogue or adding just random tiny things in there, it doesn't make the film feel so authentic. I haven't seen the original version since I watched it on my grandparents' VHS forever, so watching this for the first time was just a really different experience of how I watched it in these past couple years. This is extremely hard to find, so if you can get your hands on a Despecialized edition, please get it because it is a fan-made edition. A couple of amazing Star Wars fans that put this together, and it is incredible, so please find a way to get this and not the dumb Star Wars Special Edition 4Ks that are out right now, because I'm not going to spend on money on those films if they're not going to release the original edition that these films should have been released on. Another thing, Han shot first. There's no debate. It's literally in the film. It's in the script. It is so much better. They have changed this scene so many times. I've watched so many videos of how they just changed each thing, and now the new Disney Plus version is McClunky. Griego says McClunky. No! Han shot first. There are some tiny negatives with this film that I don't think affect my overall experience, as that after the opening scene in the film, we get the droids going to Tatooine. It is kind of sluggish and it feels kind of slow. There are points where you're kind of just waiting for the film to get going again. One of the lightsaber battles at the end is not all that great, and I get it was for this time, but Empire Strikes Back has such a better lightsaber battle that is just far better, but the lightsaber battle is a little more thematic and there's a lot more going on than just the fight that's going on in that part, so I can understand that. The script can sometimes be really cheesy at times and kind of be silly, but I think that's what makes the movie so iconic and so lovable to so many fans. No, it's not going to be a best original screenplay of all time, and it's not going to get all these amazing awards for that, but for a technical level, being so innovative, bringing all these amazing special effects and using so much creativity with the limited budget that they had to create all these starships, features, and how to make these awesome space scenes with a bunch of just action figurines and just shooting it. It's honestly just so impressive that they took a lot of inspiration from 1968 Stanley Kubrick's 2001: A Space Odyssey that dealt with a lot of the same ways they shot that film. The lightsaber looks really well in this film. It looks awesome, especially for its time. Sound design is absolutely incredible. There are just incredible noises from the blasters, from the lightsabers, from the starships. It is just mind-blowing. All these sound effects have all been transferred into all the films because they are just so iconic, and you can't have a Star Wars movie simply without them. The visual effects in every Star Wars film are basically great. Well, except the prequel trilogy, that looks pretty bad. Really bad. Visual effects will always hold up in this film because there's so many practical effects that they use and a lot of camera tricks to make this movie as amazing as it was. I've seen this film countless times and it is one of my favorites, where I think Empire Strikes Back is the better film by far, but I truly love this film, and I think I could really nitpick this, but I don't think it really takes away my love and the true enjoyment of the film. I'm really not trying to fanboy this film. I'm trying to be very objective about this film as much as I can, but this film is so streamlined. It is so simple, and it has all these amazing characters that we love and know today, and every time I watch it, there's always an enjoyment that comes out of me when I watch it. I just can't help but giving this movie the magical 10 out of 10. I was originally going to give this a 9 before I started recording, but then after I was hearing myself talk about it on camera, I realized this movie needs to have a 10 because I love this film. If you have never seen Star Wars, please watch this film. Even though there's a bunch of Star Wars fans that have really ruined the fan base and have just gone completely nuts, if you are a fan of cinema and a fan of movies, you have to at least watch this original trilogy. Just for the sake of how important and influential it is to the history of cinema and knowing where we came from and how things have started. You may not enjoy these films and you may never watch them again, but at least watching them once and understanding why the hype is here, why people just adore this original trilogy. I think it is just so important. So let me know down below, what is your favorite Star Wars film? I want to know your rankings of all the Star Wars films, including the 2008 The Star Wars: The Clone Wars movie that many of you guys may not remember, but is a theatrical film that's pretty bad. I do want to rewatch it and see how it is. Please like, share the video. Please subscribe. It really helps out the channel. So you guys have been amazing. Subscribe to the channel, liking all my videos, and commenting and just giving your thoughts, because that is just what I want to do for you guys. I want to give you the best content possible. So please let me know anything I can do to be the best I can be on this channel. As always, I'll see you guys in the next video.